All right, first step, we're going to draw the figure. So 1, 2 will be here. 2, 5. There, 5, 6. All right, so there's my figure. Just looking at it, what does it look like, possibly?
Oh, make a rhombus.
Parallelogram, maybe a rhombus. Some people even said possibly a kite. All of those would be okay as your thought here until we do this part. When I do the slope, remember if I'm doing AB, A is my 1 point, B is my 2 point. The formula again, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So for AB, I would have 5 minus 2 over 2 minus 1. I get 3 over 1, which is 3. For CD, there's my 1s and my 2s. 3 minus 6 over 4 minus 5, negative 3 over negative 1, which is 3. What does that tell me when those numbers are the same? These two sides are parallel. So which one of those, rhombus, parallelogram, and kite, are thrown out right now? If I see parallel, it cannot be a kite anymore. Go down to BC. So now B is my 1s, and C is my 2. 6 minus 5, 5 minus 2 is 1 over 3. And then AD, 3 minus 2, 4 minus 1, 1/3. If these two things match and those two things match, what does that mean?
Square.
On the first step, what is the only thing I can answer? It's either a parallelogram or not. That's it. Since these match, I can say it's a parallelogram. Go to the second step. I'm going to do the distance of the diagonals. And again, the diagonals now are these going across. There's a diagonal and there's a diagonal. So first one, there's my 1s and my 2s. So I would say 5 minus 1 squared plus 6 minus 2 squared. I get square root of 32. Check the second one, x1 and y1, x2 and y2. What do I know now? If these two things are different, what does that tell me? If you go back to the rules, if it's yes on parallelogram and then no, or the distance of the diagonals is different, it's parallelogram or rhombus. So right now I know it's either a parallelogram or a rhombus. What should happen on the midpoint? Should be the same. Because we said parallelogram on the first step. So this should verify that it's a parallelogram by midpoints being the same. So midpoint, your formula is just x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. So here, that's going to be 1 plus 5 over 2, 2 plus 6 over 2, 6 over 2, 8 over 2. If it works out and divides evenly, I'd go ahead and divide it. If it's something like 7 over 2, I'd just leave it. This one, should those be the same?
Yes.
We said parallelogram at the beginning, so they should be the same. So all we're doing right here is verifying that parallelogram was the right answer. Last step is the slope of the diagonals. Again, there's the formula. X1 and Y1, X2 and Y2. Both of these. So I get 5 minus, nope. 6 minus 2. 1, that's 4 over 4, which is 1. What am I checking for on slope of the diagonals? What am I supposed to be checking for? Now, what am I supposed to be checking for? Before I can even answer it, what am I looking for right here? But what am I checking for though?
They're the same.
Are they perpendicular? I want to know if they're perpendicular. How do I know if slopes are perpendicular? Perpendicular slopes, we said this the other day, opposite reciprocals. So, for example, if I had 2 over 3, what would the perpendicular slope be to that?
3 over
Negative 3 over 2. Swap the sign, flip the numbers. So when I'm looking at this confuses people sometimes, but it shouldn't. If I have a 1, that's a 1 over 1, right? Negative 1 over 1. Did I change the sign? Yes. Did I flip the numbers? Yes. So are these perpendicular? Yes. Go back. Second step. I said it's either a parallelogram or a rhombus. So I know now it's a parallelogram or a rhombus. Which one of these, this is perpendicular. So which one has a perpendicular diagonal? Again, if we know the rules to this stuff, we can answer the questions a lot easier. Diagonals are perpendicular, that's got to be a rhombus out of these two. Alright, we've graphed it here. What does it look like? It looks like a square. Right. Again, what's the only thing I can answer on this first question though? So if I think it's a square, should it be a parallelogram? Yes. So this should work out to be a parallelogram. So if I do slope of AB, there's my 1s and there's my 2s. So I would say,
6 minus 2, 0 minus 2.
so I get 4 over negative 1, which is negative 4. We need to fix that. Do CD. There's my x1 and y1, x2 and y2. 3 minus 7 over 5 minus 4, which is negative 4 over 1, which is negative 4. Slope is the same. What does that tell me? Well, these two are parallel. If the other two are parallel, then I know parallelogram. So BC, I'm going to change B is my 1, C is my 2. 7 minus 6 over 4 minus 0. So that is 1 over 4. And then DA or AD doesn't really matter. 3 minus 2, 5 minus 1. So these two slopes match. These two slopes match. So yes, it's parallelogram. All right, next step is distance diagonals. Got the formula up there. All right, so what do I have here? Tell me what goes in there.
Parentheses 4 minus 1 squared.
4 minus 1 squared, because I'm doing the A and the C now. There's my x1, y1 plus x2, y2.
Plus 7 minus 2 squared.
All right, so again, I'm going to do all of this junk in here without the square root and get what? 34, ain't it?
Yeah, it's 34.
4 minus 1 is 3. 3 squared is 9. 7 minus 2 squared is 5. 5 squared is 25. 25 and 9 is 34. Make sure you leave the squared on there. Take off the square root. So I get square root of 34. Come down to BD, so there's my x1, y1, x2, y2. So this one would be
Parentheses 5 minus 0 squared.
5 minus 0 squared.
Plus parentheses 3 minus 6.
There's going to be a 5 squared is 25, negative 3 squared is 9. if these things match, rectangle or square, does that make sense? What did we say we thought it was? If we think it's a square, then that's what should happen here, right? All right, so here I'm going to do the midpoint. So for AC, there's my 1s and there's my 2s. Midpoint will be 1 plus 4 over 2, 2 plus 7 over 2. I get 5 over 2 and 9 over 2. Again, I'm going to leave it like that. I'm not going to worry about fixing that and doing decimals. BD, there's my 1s, there's my 2s. So I would have 0 plus 5 over 2, and 6 plus 3 over 2, 5 over 2, 9 over 2. Should that happen? I got the same thing. Should it happen?
Yeah.
Why?
Because
We said parallelogram on the first step, and if we say parallelogram, then midpoints have to be the same. If it is not a parallelogram, then these two things will not be the same on midpoint. All right, last step is going to be slope of the diagonals. AC, that means here's my 1, there's my 2s. So for AC, I would do,
7 minus 2, or 4 minus 1.
so that is
equals 5 over 3.
5 over 3. Go to BD, so there's my 1s, and there's my 2s,
Equals 3 minus 6.
over.
5 minus 0. Equals negative 3.
All right, so what am I checking for here again?
Opposite.
Are they opposite reciprocals?
Yes.
Did I change the sign?
Yes.
Yes. Did I flip the numbers?
Yes.
So that means yes, perpendicular. Now I've already said back here, it's either a rectangle or a square. So I got rectangle or square. If it's yes for perpendicular, which one of these has a perpendicular diagonal? So there's my answer.